today we're going to be replacing the driver's side CV axle on this 2006 Mitsubishi Outlander. Next step is going to be to raise this side of the car and support it on our jack stands. Next we remove our lug nuts and remove the wheel. Next we're going to remove this 17mm nut that's holding our outer tie rod in. And since these nuts don't have a cotter pin like most nuts that hold the outer tie rod in, and they're locking nuts, it's very good idea to replace these if you can. And now on how to get this thing out of there. Well, first we're gonna spray some PV blaster, or in my case freeze off here. I'm also gonna spray some here on the axle nut because we're gonna be getting this out in a couple minutes. And then we're gonna hit this part and this part alone by a hammer. What I'm going to do next is actually remove my brake caliper. It's only 2 bolts that hold this caliper in, so I'm just going to remove those 2 bolts and take this caliper out. Have ways of supporting this by bungee cords or something here, so it won't be dangling off this brake line. Before we remove our brake caliper though, I'm going to just get a screwdriver in here and push these pistons back. This caliper looks like it has 2 pistons here and here. So it's going to push a little bit at a time until it goes all the way back, so it makes reinstalling it a lot easier. Next we're going to remove these 2 17mm bolts we got one on top and one on the bottom, and that should be all that's holding the caliper in. Okay? With our bungee cord in place and ready, we just get this out of here and rest it on top here. Before we remove these 2 bolts, there's something else we need to remove, and that's this cable, these wires for this ABS sensor. I'm just going to loosen it to get it out of this metal bracket here, and then also back here there's a clip that's holding this in. So okay, and here's the clip that you're going to need to pop out of this one to get this out of here. Next I'm going to take off this axle nut. This is going to require a 32mm socket. There's also a washer here. Now we can remove these 2 bolts. They're going to require a 19mm socket. I got my air gun on this side. It's going to hold the nut in place at the other end with my ratchet resting against the rotor. Okay. I should be just able to just tap these bolts out of here. With this part detached from our strut, we should be able to just press this out, twist this and press this out. But I forgot to mention, if yours is stuck here, your CV joint is stuck in the steering knuckle, you can always, if you're replacing it, you can just hit it with a hammer, spray with some PV blaster, hit it a couple times, spray again, hit it, do it until you can get it out. But it's usually comes out without, after a couple of taps. But on this one, it was pretty, it was loose already, so just gonna twist and play with this until this comes out. Okay. To get this completely out, looks like I am going to need to use my hammer. There we go. Now we just gotta get it free from the transmission side, and this CV joint is out. In order to get it out from the transmission side, you want to make sure you got your catch band underneath here, because sometimes when you pull these out, the transmission fluid starts coming out, and basically you'll just need a pry bar and just need to pry it out. Okay. Okay, that took a bunch of tries, but I was finally able to use a pry bar and then my hammer at the end of it to get this loose. So be prepared. Now just pull this out, and you got transmission fluid coming out right away. So have your catch pan ready too. Okay. Now we're ready to get this out of here. There we go. Okay, here's a look at our CV axle outside of the car, and all we have to do now is go to the auto parts store and get ourselves a new one. If your car has got a ABS, make sure you get a CV axle that's for that option. Just got back from the auto parts store and just comparing our new CV axle to our old one, and then this is like a perfect match. Before we put this back on the car, it's a good idea to get to dab your finger in some transmission fluid and get it on this C-clip, because it'll make life easier. Also get it here so it slides in easy and doesn't damage the seal on the transmission. So when you go to put this in, you want to make sure you put it straight and you push it all the way in. I find the best way is to push it from once it's engaged. Once these splines are lined up, you push it from here. I find that makes it go in a lot easier. And when it clicks into place, you'll know you won't be able to pull it out by hand. That's how it's all the way in there. There we go. Try to get it to go in as straight as possible, and then you press here, pops in, and then you try to see if you can't get it out with your hand, and that means that C-clip is engaged and you're good to go. Next we'll get in this side to the hub. There we go. So I'm in a bit of a time crunch, so I'm not going to record the rest of this. I'm just going to cut back all the way to the end when it's time to put the axle nut in and show you how to torque that. And but a couple of pointers for people that are new to replacing this, replacing an axle. When you put your caliper back on, make sure you start the caliper bolts by hand. Do them one at a time. Start a little bit on top, then bottom, and the bottom. Make sure you're not cross-threading them, and you get them both engaged before you start, tightening with your ratchet. Also, remember to replace that locking nut that goes on top of that, because these don't come with the cotter pins. So it's very important to replace that and make sure that never comes loose. So here's how you tighten your axle nut. Basically, get the wheel on the ground, put your lug nuts back on, tighten them down, and remove your hubcap or center cap, and get your socket on the axle nut, and then tighten it. And obviously, this is the same way you take it off if you don't have an air compressor and an air gun. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below, and I'll see you next time.